All right, good morning, everybody. It is Thursday, November 11th, 2021, and we're going to get started with our pre-market analysis on the S&P 500 futures market. Now, when we met last week, we were still kind of in the throes of this kind of relentless push to new all-time highs. And it looks like on Friday, we kind of got to a nice little top there and started pulling back. If we just kind of scroll back and look at our 10-minute chart here, Thursday we were still in this relentless push higher. Friday was kind of the last end of it, and then we started getting this pullback here. And some notable things I just want to point out really quickly. You can see I do have some of my eye levels up on the chart here. Just really cool to point out that we had this 46, 60, 50 on our charts for a few days now, and we came down right to it, found support multiple times, and then sold off right to our next eye level at 25. It bounced one tick in front of it and then went ahead and pushed up, and now we're finding a little bit of resistance right on the back end of that 46, 60, 50 level once again. So just kind of really cool to point out. We watch these levels every morning. We call these things, I believe, 46.25. And we'll get into the analysis really quickly here, was exactly the level we expected to find support yesterday. So let's go ahead and jump up to our ultra high time frames and take a look at what the charts are saying here. We go up to our quarterly. Nothing has changed up here. Everything still looks really strong. There's no signs of exhaustion. And when we get down to our monthly, that's when we get our first little kind of clues of a potential bearish formation on the RVI here. So as we continue to push to higher highs, we want to see RVI also pushing to higher highs compared to the last high it made, and we're not seeing that. So there's potential that this monthly could start to print a bearish exhaustion pattern off the highs up here. But for now, like I've said in the past, it's going to take a long time for this monthly candle to close, and then for the next monthly candle to open and close. And that's what it's going to take to actually see that signal form. So it's going to take a while, but we want to keep this in the back of our minds here. On the weekly, we do have what looks to be the exact pattern that we would want to see here form on the monthly for the bearish case. So right now you can see we came up, we made our all-time high up around 47.11 there, got the pullback, and this new weekly candle, which does have 2 more days to develop and eventually close there. So the picture can change. If it stays the way it looks right now, we're going to have a nice clean bearish divergence on our weekly. So want to also keep that in the back of our minds. If we do get some type of bullish push here, however, this signal, which is now pointing lower, very well could end up closing up here, and then we would have to basically reevaluate and look for where the signal is actually going to form. So for now, we do have a monthly and a weekly potential bearish formation going right now. When we get down to the daily, we talked about the fact that we did not get agreement with the weekly and the monthly up here. So in the most ideal circumstance, we should have came up and got some type of divergence pattern up top to kind of get agreement. So what that tells me is I think we have the potential to actually push back up and retest the all-time high, if not push through it. And then we might actually get a bearish divergence pattern on the daily. And that's when everything might come into alignment, where we have daily, weekly, and monthly all officially showing that bearish signal. And then maybe we'll get the pullback from there. I think the important thing to keep in mind here is the overall context in the market. And again, this is a daily chart, so we're going back years and years, well, at least for the entire year here on the chart. And as you can see, every time we get exhaustion patterns off highs, we do get pullbacks. And maybe I should go ahead and delete this fib real quick and just show you that when we get the exhaustion pattern, there is pullback, and sometimes there's that larger pullback, especially back here from the beginning of September to the beginning of October, the bearish signal leading to almost a 300-point pullback. But outside of that, a lot of these patterns lead to little shallow pullbacks and then a continuation. So we don't want to necessarily expect some type of bottom dropping out in the market, but when they start to align, there is that potential for a bigger pullback. Now, on this daily here, we did draw this potential bullish pattern yesterday morning, but because the market pulled back a little bit more before closing, we now have to redraw this down to the low. But we do have a really nice clear bullish divergence going on off of the low. Wrong button there. Really nice bullish divergence forming there. And assuming that this daily candle that will close at the end of today looks similar to the way it looks now, we will have a nice official bullish divergence going on our daily chart. One other thing to note here as well, and maybe we should go down to the 4-hour for this, and we'll take a look here. So we had that pullback from right around this low here up to this high, and as you can see, we're bouncing right at the 50% retracement level. In fact, that's what we're going to get into down on our 60-minute chart. So maybe I should just go ahead and look at what we're seeing from the divergence perspective really quickly. Right now, just like on the daily, we had that bullish divergence from the low that we made from yesterday. We also have a nice clear 4-hour bullish divergence from that low as well. So we're starting to get some agreement on that side. However, we're getting that bearish pattern off the current overnight high. So we're going to have to watch this. I believe the 60-minute also has a nice clear bearish pattern off the high there. So this is going to be an important level to watch this morning. We want to see the overnight high broken in order to see, and ideally the previous daily high, to see a break in this potential bearish pattern right now. But we do have, again, nice agreement with the bullish signal off the previous daily low right now. And when we get to our 60-minute, this is what I was talking about here. If you look at the whole leg up from back over here on the October 28th low, and I'll just summarize this really quickly. We were looking at this back at the end of October, this leg up from this pullback and this push up, and we talked about the bounce off the 61.8 retracement of that leg, pretty much to the tick, which is always something that I love to see. We even kind of got this double bottom at the 61, and then we started launching out of there. So I started drawing a fib off this new leg from that bounce from the 61.8. And if you look at this leg here, and we were watching this, we talked about it in our pre-market for probably a week now, ever since we came up to the highs up at 47.11. But as you can see, we pulled back, and 50% of this leg happened to be right up where we had some pretty strong resistance back at the beginning of November. And so in our pre-market yesterday, we mentioned this level as being important for the bulls to hold. And sure enough, they came down. Remember, we mentioned at the beginning here, we had an eye level sitting at 25 even, came down, bounced at 25 quarter. Again, right off of the level we expected, and now we're pushing right up into this 38% retracement of the leg down. So if we look at the all-time high down to the low we made from yesterday, notice where the 38 is and where we're finding some trouble. It is not only, again, a 38% retracement, but we have this strong support from that 46.60 level yesterday as well. Even going all the way back to November, we broke above that 46.60 area and held it all throughout the afternoon there, and then broke out from there. So we're finding some trouble right now. And like I said, we have that bearish case off the overnight high when we look to the 4-hour, and now when we look to the hourly. And because we are at such a critical area in the market where we had strong support in the past, being that it's a 38% retracement, being that we have two prediction points very close together right in that same area, this is going to be a critical area to break this morning for any type of faith in a bullish move. So that's what we're seeing here on our 60, and we'll jump down to our intermediate time frames here and take a look at what they have to say here. So here we are on the 10-minute. There's the agreement with the bearish signal off the high. There's agreement with the bullish signal off the previous daily low. So as you can see, we have kind of our conditions this morning for what we want to be looking for. Essentially, for any type of bullish move this morning, we're going to want to see the market hold above that previous daily low and go ahead and break through the overnight high and ideally get through the previous daily high here. So if in that situation, remember this morning we don't have a strong alignment again, which is kind of what it's been like for most mornings. However, I believe Monday and Tuesday of this week, we did have more of a bullish argument, and so we did expect a breakout to the upside, but then there was failure on both days there. This morning, we don't have a strong enough case from both sides. However, I will say that we do have that potential daily bullish signal off the lows, and because of that, we do have a little bit more weight on the bullish side because we now have the daily, the 4-hour, the hourly, the 30-minute, and the 10-minute all showing a bullish signal from the low. Sorry, the 30 minutes not showing, but that's the only time frame. And then from the overnight high, we have kind of the opposite argument. However, we don't have the daily on top of it all. So overall, there's a little bit more weight to the bullish side this morning. So we could expect a break of the overnight high and a test of the previous daily high here. However, remember, anything's possible. If things start to get heavy here, we're going to have to switch our hats and look for shorts, again, into some of the interesting levels we have below us. And in that instance, we're going to pull back here. We have a lot of things below us here that we're going to want to pay attention to. And we're going to get into that with our members. Again, looking for some of our proprietary levels. And again, looking for strong signals at these important levels to look for trades. Just looking above us here, if we do get a push to the upside, we have a nice, some strong bullish momentum this morning. There are a lot of levels that we have to kind of contend with on the way up. And it's just one of those situations where it is what it is. There's just a lot of areas that have really strong support, really strong resistance, and they just kind of stacked here. So we're going to have to kind of take it one by one this morning. Again, assuming they can get through that overnight high, then we have again the prediction point. We have our eye level up here, another prediction point, and then we're going to start to push into this previous support area in the market right around 77, which again was one of our eye levels that we found support off of and then resistance off of multiple times. So again, that's going to be trouble. And then we have the previous daily high, and then up above there, it's going to again just be one by one. I wish it was a little bit clearer. On the way down, there are definitely some more obvious levels of support in the market. So as we pull back, some really strong resistances. Remember, it's been if we look to the 30-minute and we zoom out, just a relentless push to a new high, and then a nice clean pullback, and then a relentless push to the next high. So we have a lot of these strong resistance levels below us that could end up becoming support. So I'll leave it at that for this morning. Unfortunately, we don't have a grand alignment like we did back at the October, I believe, 12th or October 1st. However, we have the conditions for what we want to see this morning. If we can get through that overnight high, it gives us more faith in a test of the previous daily high. If they start failing and they get through some of our support levels that we have below us, and they get through the previous daily high, then that opens up moves down to some of these deeper, first of all, that 61.8 retracement of this whole leg, and then down into some of this strong resistance and support areas like around 45.88, or maybe back down into the CP around 53 here. Again, it's all going to be dependent on who has the strength this morning. So I will leave it at that. We'll take it level by level this morning, and we're going to jump over to our members chat room now to start going over some areas to look for trades and kind of wrap things up. So have a great rest of your day, guys. I hope you got a little bit of an idea of what we want to do this morning. Again, the potential for a bounce higher is there. We have a little bit more weight to the bulls off the overnight low than we do, or from the previous daily low, than we do from the overnight high. And that's just what we have for our signals this morning. So have a great rest of your day. We'll see you all here next Thursday for our pre-market. Bye-bye.